Well, the cameras and the crew are gone, and here at the Hanson Homestead high in the Cascade Ranges, things are settling back to normal. But the show is currently airing on Discovery Network. Stay tuned. Welcome to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. We're a modern homestead tucked high in the Cascade Ranges of the Pacific Northwest, and I'd like to thank you guys for coming in and sharing our journey with us. And as summer approaches and the fire dangers increase, we are continuing to prepare for fire suppression and fire management here on the homestead. I was gifted with a battery-operated chainsaw to make the clearing of the land a heck of a lot more easier. So Jeremy, my son, and I have been out here cleaning. We've cleaned 200 feet back and from fence line to fence line of all the underbrush and dead and dying trees. So we've been able to lay up and store a lot of wood. Eventually I want to buy a wood stove, install it in the house so we can harvest our own heat sources right here on the homestead. What we're most pleased with is the new roof that the network put on the house for us. It not only stopped the leaks, but the metal will shield us from fiery embers from nearby forest fires that frequent our area every year. We're having a more successful garden this year than I've had in previous years here on this homestead. At the other homestead, I had a garden double this size that were all raised beds. Grew so much food that I had to take the excess down to the food banks. But this garden, this is the most successful garden we've had here, so I anticipate on being able to dry, dehydrate a lot of food, and also can a lot of food to lay up and store throughout the following year. It was through the addition of the greenhouse here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm that I was able to get an early start on my growing season. As soon as the camera is packed up and left and the cast and the crew took off to the next episode shoot, we immediately began to plant. So a lot of this planting took place at the end of January. The show was filmed the first 3 weeks of January, and the last week of January we planted. And then we were already able to harvest salads, and we've got carrots that we're harvesting now, and Swiss chard we're harvesting. We also have peas. I have broccoli growing in here, or Brussels sprouts. I have Brussels sprouts. So there's a lot of projects I personally have to complete this year, and now with my daughter being able to be around a little bit more often, I can turn her loose and let her help me a lot. She's helping with the garden, and with the grandkids here, I would enjoy having their help with me in the garden, at least pulling those weeds. Among the many projects that I have going on this summer is I still have to tilt the solar panels to their summer tilt. I will do that in the morning. In continuing the Going Off-Grid series, we're going to switch gears and go and switch it to Off-Grid series, because we're just about ready to install our last components on getting the house completely off-grid. We finally got the generator going, and it is operational now. Other projects I need to complete are putting a new seal on the oil filter adapter on the pickup and get that going, installing a new belt on my riding lawnmower, and putting a new alternator in my Ford Thunderbird to get that back on the road. And I have too much going on this summer. We have 3 rabbits I need to process and get into the freezer so we have some protein through the summer, and we'll have some barbecue. We're also getting some success at increasing our flock for future protein. And in addition to baby ducks that I've been able to hatch and replenish my flock, I'm now able to cull 4 ducks out of this year's flock, or the old flock, and put them in the freezer for this year. So we'll finally be able to collect ducks. And I have 3 geese I'm going to be culling. With the final success, this will be my 2nd time since living here on the homestead that I've had success at baby geese hatched, and I just discovered them as I was filming this video. I'm very pleased. I finally got baby geese, little goslings that have hatched. Very nice. So with the exception of chicken, you know, we've been harvesting chickens for several years. Except for when we moved over here in the last 4 years, we've only been able to harvest 1 rooster. And because the purpose, I was trying to get the hobby farm or the homestead built up, because we started this homestead with nothing. There was nothing here. And of course, coming from a state of homelessness to this, and just starting a new job and trying to build up my revenue through work, and then paying the mortgage on the property that we bought here, it was it made more sense for me to raise the livestock that I had purchased initially, let them reproduce, and sell them on Craigslist and by other means to get that revenue to build the infrastructure here on the homestead. Now that the whole infrastructure is in, I'm able to finally start culling the livestock for our own consumption. Since buying the land and beginning the building process of all the outbuildings to get us to the point where we can now focus on being more self-reliant, I think this YouTube channel is going to shift gears at this point and move forward in changing up a little bit and focusing on more of a self-reliance, rather than just starting and building a hobby farm, a homestead, because for the most part the building's done. The food sources are now in place, and I'm getting some success at my food, and that is a huge step in becoming self-reliant. So we've worked hard 4 years on getting to this point. I want to thank you, my viewers, for following me on this journey to this point in our lives. Now it's time to shift gears and move forward. We're finishing up instead of going off-grid series that I've produced, we're now changing that to off-grid, because I've done some improvements to the off-grid system to where we're just about ready to flip the switch and be completely self-producing on our energy needs and self-reliant upon our food needs. And with viewers like you just simply tuning in and watching our journey, that will generate an income, a little bit of an income through the advertisers to pay the homeowner's insurance and the taxes on the land. So I've been your host, Jerry Hansen, here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm, a modern homestead tucked high in the Cascade Ranges of the Pacific Northwest. I want to thank you guys for coming and sharing our adventure with us. I hope you learned something, and I am learning a lot. I'm learning so much. I don't claim to be an expert on anything except for how not to homestead. See you guys again in the next video. Bye-bye.